Hi everyone. Hi Bruce. I'm a little bit early because I'm just checking that everything's working okay, because this live streaming malarkey doesn't always work. So we'll just check first of all that that I can see myself on Facebook. Let's see. Yes, I can see myself. I think we're good to go. If you can hear a whirring, my computer's decided to, the fans kicked in for some reason. It's decided to be really noisy, so I do apologise for that if it's a bit noisy. Just see if we get a few more people joining us. Hi Tammy. Just hang on, because it's not quite 1:30 yet. Are we all okay? All well? Right, I think we'll make a start because it's just about 1:30. Joe will get some more people hopping on. Hi Dan. We'll get more people hopping on as we go, I'm sure. So, day 4 of our 5-day Science of Success Quick Start Challenge is Law of Attraction Day. So, how did you do in a few tasks today? First, as usual. First one then was to think about a situation that's happened that turned out to be negative, and to try to remember what your thoughts were leading up to it. And the reason that I gave you that task was because I wanted you to start thinking about your thoughts, basically. I want you to start really being consciously aware of the thoughts that you are having on a day-to-day basis. Now, obviously this is what we do, you know, this is what we teach people, this is what we do all of the time, is talk about how your thinking affects your results, and how the ideas that you're having, the feelings that you're having throughout the day are affecting the results that you're getting. And your environment, so the things that are going on around you, the things that are happening to you, are a direct reflection of what's going on inside. So quite often when we do this first exercise from today and we look back at things that have happened, now obviously I know Tammy was mentioning a problem that she'd had with plumbing. I mean, obviously that's not a direct reflection of, you know, Tammy hasn't caused that through negative thinking. It's the actions that happened after that I'm interested in. So it's what actually happens to you, not outside you, because the plumbing is like an outside thing, and it's affecting you because it affects how you feel, and obviously it also affects you from a physical point of view. But basically I want you to start thinking and noticing what your thoughts are leading up to things that happen, because thinking absolutely will determine your results. It absolutely has a knock-on effect. Remember we were talking about cause and effect on Monday? We were talking about the law of cause and effect. Every effect has a cause, and usually that cause has come from you. So that's what I want to talk about today. It's about how what you're thinking affects what happens to you. Hi Steve, I've just seen your appointment that you booked, Steve, so that's all good to go. There are books that you can read about this. Well, there's tons of books you can read about this. This is a really interesting book, actually. If you're interested in the effects that your thoughts have on your body, there's a book by Dr. Joseph Murphy called The Power of the Subconscious Mind. I forgot what it was for a minute there. The Power of the Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy. Really, really interesting book. If you are at all interested in how the way you think can affect your health, really interesting book. But we're not going to talk about that today, but I don't know why I went off on a tangent there, but really, really good book. It's a book that I really enjoy. But basically, it's just another way that the way you're thinking affects the results you're getting. You know, your health, your current health, are results that you're experiencing because of your mind. Okay, I won't go into it any further than that, but if you're interested in it, get that book or join us in Thinking Into Results. You'll learn even more. So the second task that we had was to write down a statement of definite purpose, or a statement of chief aim, as it's sometimes called. Now, that comes from a chapter in this book, and it's a chapter that I'm going to read for you. Okay, this book, Think and Grow Rich, is the book that Bob Proctor carries around with him. If you've ever watched any of Bob's videos or trainings or anything, you'll see him carrying this. He does carry it everywhere with him. Doesn't look like this, he's got a specially bound copy, but he carries it everywhere with him. He carries it in his suit pocket and he whips it out whenever he wants to quote to you. And it's an absolutely phenomenal book. We've just finished reading it in our mastermind group before we went on to Psycho-Cybernetics. We just finished reading it. It's a book that I get out at least once a day. And the other reason I wanted to mention this was, I was speaking to Tammy earlier and she was asking if I could recommend any books. This is one to recommend, Tammy, if you haven't read it, Think and Grow Rich. This is a newer version. This has actually got a foreword by Bob in it, special foreword by Bob Proctor. But there's all kinds of different editions of it. I will put a list of other books in the Facebook group if people are interested. Definitely Psycho-Cybernetics, which is the one that I spoke about yesterday, to do with self-image, and then Think and Grow Rich is the other one. The reason I wanted to talk about this, apart from the chapter that we're going to talk about law of attraction, hi Enza, hi Kaylee, was reading is so important. Learning is so important. Continually learning, that's where growth comes from. Continual learning and developing, always aiming for better. We should always be aiming for better. That's what growth is all about. And this book in particular is one that Bob's so fond of, so this is why we read this one a lot. We've been mentored to read this one. But whatever book you pick, repetition is incredibly important. My clients have been rolling their eyes because I'm like, repetition. It's absolutely true. You must get that into your head. Repeatedly reading the same thing or watching the same thing or listening to the same thing is how you move that information from your conscious mind into your subconscious mind. Repetition and applying it, really thinking about how it applies to you, because that's how you'll get emotionally involved with it, and that too will help it move into your subconscious mind, and that is when your actions will start to change. If you just read it on a conscious level, if you read something once, you're not going to absorb it. And the reason is, if you imagine when you are listening, say, let's use listening as an example. Say you're listening to an audio book, Okay, so if you imagine the narrator's voice, okay, reading like this in a straight line, okay, reading and reading through the chapter, reading all the paragraphs, and you're listening along. Okay, what happens though when you're listening is you're listening, and then you get an idea, so your mind wanders up here. Okay, so the reading's going on down here and your mind's up here thinking about something else, and then you come back to it, so then you start listening consciously again. Okay, and then you're carrying along with the narrator, and then you have another idea and your mind wanders off again. Okay, so your mind's up here, the narrator's down here, you're thinking about something else, you're not really listening, and then you come back to it again later. So those gaps, there are gaps where the narrator's been reading and your mind's been up here. Okay, so you've missed that. You haven't been consciously taking that in. So you end up with gaps in what you've heard. So if you only listen to something once, or if you only read something once, you haven't taken it all in. So what happens the second time you listen to it, same thing happens again. So the narrator's going along here, reading, and you go off on a tangent again. So you get another idea at a different point this time. You get another idea, and your mind goes up here and then comes back again to listen to the narrator. And then it goes back up again to a different idea, and then it comes back again. And every time you listen to it, or you read it, or you watch something, your mind goes off at a different point. So you're picking up different parts of the narration, or different parts of the video, or different parts of the book every time you read it, and you're filling in the gaps as you go. If you only read something once, you're never going to fill in those gaps. And this is why repetition is so important. You know, I told you the other day about thinking into results. Literally, we are watching and reading the same things twice a day for 14 days, over and over and over and over again, before we switch up to the next thing. And that's how we reprogram your mind. That's how you're going to reprogram your mind. If you're doing this on your own, you must understand that repetition is crucial to reprogramming your subconscious mind, to reprogramming your paradigm, to changing the way you think, to changing the way you feel about things, and therefore changing your actions and your results. It's absolutely critical. If you read things once, or listen to things once, or watch things once, you're not going to get all the detail, you're not going to get it into your subconscious mind, and you're not going to do anything with it. Okay, so you might have seen, or you might not have seen, a comment that a reply that I put to Lynn in the Facebook group, because Lynn's done this challenge a number of times now, and she was talking about how suddenly she's having ahas. She's suddenly picking up on things, or realising things, or suddenly having these like epiphanies. That's because she's picking up different things every time. So that's why people get results when they come back. It's not incremental results. If you're going to come, obviously, if you're watching the same thing over and over again, or you're reading the same thing over and over again, there's only so much ground you're going to make, because it is the same thing. It's the same concepts that you're going over and over. So it's like the 5-day challenge. You'll get better and better at the things we're doing, but this is only just such a small piece of what there is out there and what you actually need to cover. So but that's why I go on and on about repetition. It's just, if you're going to just do things once, or read things once, or watch things once, you're not going to actually do anything with it. So back to the law of attraction then. I didn't finish the point I was making about Lynn's, the reply I put to Lynn. She had put that she's having these kind of aha moments now, even though she's done this challenge loads of times. She's suddenly realising things she hadn't realised before. And I put a quote for her, which was, it's a quote that Bob told me, but I don't know who actually originally said it. When you read a book through for a second time, You don't read something that wasn't there before. You see something in yourself that wasn't there before. So it's not it's not something in the book that's changed, or it's not something you missed the first time necessarily. It's that you've changed since you've read it the first time, and so now, and this is the case with the people that come through the challenge, you're changing very slightly every time you do something like this. So when you go through it again, it's not necessarily the fact that you've actually not heard something, it's the fact that you've changed a little bit and you can apply it differently. So it's just crucial. Repetition is just huge for any of this work that you're doing. If you're doing it by yourself, if you're doing it with us, it's just crucial. I've got the book physically and on Audible, completed it on Audible. Yeah, need to go through it again, Steve. And you need to be actively reading, especially with books like this that are quite meaty. We have, Bob quite often instructs us to read the persistence chapter. So we read that for 30 days. And I do that twice a year. I read the persistence chapter for 30 days, just the persistence chapter, every day for 30 days. And when you do that, especially these kind of books, the results are just incredible. Have we lost our... Oh, it just paused a little bit. I thought I'd lost my internet connection. So what I want to do is, on day 4, I read for you, and I'm going to read chapter 3 from this book. Now, what most people don't understand about the law of attraction is that the law of attraction is the secondary law. The primary law is the law of vibration. Now, this chapter is going to explain this for you, but a lot of people got into the law of attraction through watching The Secret, the film The Secret, the movie The Secret, or through reading the book. Now, Bob was in the movie The Secret, and he always says the problem with The Secret was it left out the secret, because it kind of told you about the law of attraction, but didn't really tell you how to make it work, not properly. And the law of vibration is the secret behind that. You've got to master the law of vibration before you can master the law of attraction. So this is why so many people try it. You can see, they'll tell me they've been using the law of attraction for 20 years, and they haven't got the results they want yet. That if you've been trying the law of attraction, if you've been using the law of attraction for 20 years and you haven't made significant leaps and bounds, you're not applying it correctly. So, and it's the law of vibration that you need to learn to use that will change that for you. Okay, so I'm going to read this chapter. I'm going to add my own little notes in as I go. You may be looking at the top of my head, so I do apologise for that. If I don't look up for a while, I won't see any comments. So I'll catch up with those when I've finished. So I don't know, it might take me 10 or 15 minutes to read this, but I think it's important, and I think a lot of you will find it eye-opening when it comes to the law of attraction. Okay, so I'm just going to read. Autosuggestion, the medium for influencing the subconscious mind, the third step to riches. Autosuggestion is a term which applies to all suggestions and all self-administered stimuli which reach one's mind through the 5 senses. Remember, we were talking about how the 5 senses come through the conscious mind on Tuesday. Stated in another way, autosuggestion is self-suggestion. It is the agency of communication between that part of the mind where conscious thought takes place and that which serves as the seat of action for the subconscious mind. So autosuggestion is self-suggestion. It's the agency of communication between your conscious mind and your self-conscious mind. The dominating thoughts which one permits to remain in the conscious mind Whether these thoughts be negative or positive is immaterial. The dominating thoughts which one permits to remain in the conscious mind will reach and influence the subconscious mind through the law of autosuggestion. So whatever you are thinking about continually, whatever you're mulling over all the time and getting emotionally attached to, getting emotionally involved with, is going to permeate your subconscious mind, whether it's negative or positive. No thought, whether it be negative or positive, can enter the subconscious mind without the aid of the principle of autosuggestion, with the exception of those thoughts picked up as flashes of insight or inspiration. Stated differently, all sense impressions which are perceived through the five senses are captured and processed by the conscious thinking mind and may be either passed on to the subconscious mind or rejected at will. The conscious faculty serves, therefore, as an outer guard at the approach to the subconscious. So remember, this is what we said on Tuesday. Your conscious mind absolutely has control. It can decide whether to accept or reject an idea. When things come into your conscious mind from the outside world, as we're getting bombarded with at the moment through TV, radio, newspapers, all five senses are getting hit with information. Your conscious mind has the ability to either say, yeah, I'm going to take that on board, or no, I'm not, I'm going to reject it. Nature has so wired human beings that they have absolute control over the material which reaches their subconscious mind through the five senses. Although this is not meant to be construed as a statement that individuals always exercise this control. In the majority of cases, they do not exercise it, which explains why so many people go through life in poverty. So, in other words, most people are not exercising control over what they allow into their subconscious mind. They're just getting immediately emotionally involved with it and letting it go straight into the subconscious mind, which then affects their feelings and it affects their actions. Okay, you do not have to do that. You have control over what gets into your subconscious mind. Most people don't exercise that control. Recall what's been said about the subconscious mind resembling a fertile garden in which wheat will grow in abundance if the seeds of more desirable crops are not sown therein. Autosuggestion is the agency of control through which an individual may voluntarily feed his or her subconscious mind on thoughts of a creative nature, or, by neglect, permit thoughts of a destructive nature to find their way into this rich garden of the mind. So this is the point where, if you have a field and you grow good crops in it, you plant a good crop in it, plant seeds in it, there's no room for weeds to grow. If you don't put anything in it, a load of weeds are going to grow there. It's just neglect, weeds will grow. It's the same for positive and negative ideas. If you don't plant positive ideas purposely in your mind, negative ideas will grow. That's just human nature. It's the way that we're wired. You were instructed in the last of the 6 action steps described in chapter 1, we haven't read chapter 1, to read aloud twice daily the written statement of your desire for money and to see and feel yourself already in possession of the money. Hold on to that thought. By following these instructions, you communicate the object of your desire directly to your subconscious mind in a spirit of absolute faith. Through repetition of this procedure, you voluntarily create desire into its monetary. Through repetition of this procedure, you voluntarily create thought habits which are favourable to your efforts to transmute desire into its monetary equivalent. This procedure is not restricted to monetary gain alone. It can be used to help you achieve whatever it is that you desire strongly, so long as it does not violate the laws of God or the rights of others. Remember, we're back to this strong desire. Okay, everything that we're doing this week is aimed at achieving a goal that you really, really want to achieve. Okay, desire is really important. Go back to these 6 actions described in chapter 1, we're not going to do that, and read them again very carefully before you proceed further. Then skip ahead for a moment and read carefully the 4 instructions for the organisation of your mastermind group, which are described in chapter 6 on organised planning. You will see that all of these instructions involve the application of the law of auto-suggestion. I think we keep getting interrupted on the stream. Hopefully we're still going and you can see me. I think so. Remember therefore, when reading aloud the statement of your desire, through which you are endeavouring to develop a money consciousness or any other success consciousness, that the mere reading of the words is of no consequence unless you mix emotion or feeling with your words. If you repeat 1,000,000 times the famous Emile Coué formula, day by day in every way I'm getting better and better, without mixing emotion and faith with your words, you will experience no desirable results. Your subconscious mind recognises and acts only upon thoughts which have been well mixed with emotion or feeling. So this is what we're talking about when we say most people will not get the results they want with the law of attraction because they think they've just got to think about what they want. If they just think about it, think about that red Porsche, I'm thinking about it, I'm visualising it 10 times a day, I'm visualising it, I'm drawing it out, I've got a vision board. If you don't mix that visualising with emotion and faith, nothing's going to happen because it will not move into your subconscious mind. You won't have the ideas and the thoughts that you need. You won't take the actions and you won't get the results. Same with affirmations. When people are just repeating affirmations, just reading them off a sheet of paper or whatever, if you don't get emotionally involved with that, if you can't translate it into a feeling inside you, it's not going to move into your subconscious mind and it's not going to work. This is a fact of such importance as to warrant repetition in practically every chapter of this book, because the lack of understanding of this truth is the main reason why the majority of people who try to apply the law of auto-suggestion and the law of attraction get no desirable results. Plain, unemotional words do not influence the subconscious mind. You will get no appreciable results until you learn to reach your subconscious mind with thoughts or spoken words which have been well emotionalized with belief. So again, can you see why it's so important that this goal that you have lights something inside you? There's got to be emotion behind that goal, and that's why we go for a C-type goal. An A or a B-type goal is not going to give you that spark. It's not going to give you that emotion that you need. You need something that's going to truly change your life and truly, change the lives of the people around you, that's going to make you feel emotional, get you emotionally attached to it, and eventually, once you've developed that belief, will give you, you need to have emotion, good emotion, and faith. And if it's not a C-type goal, it's not a goal that you truly desire to achieve, you're not going to be able to generate that emotion or that faith. Do not become discouraged if you cannot control and direct your emotions the first time you try to do so. Remember, there is no such possibility as something for nothing. The ability to reach and influence your subconscious mind has its price, and you must pay that price. You cannot cheat even if you desire to do so. The price of ability to influence your subconscious mind is everlasting persistence in applying the principles described here. You cannot develop the desired ability for a lower price. You and you alone must decide whether or not the reward for which you are striving, money consciousness, is worth the price you must pay for it in effort. So again, if you haven't got a C-type goal, if you haven't got a goal that is absolute, that you just feel you know, I have to achieve that in my lifetime. That is what I want. If you haven't got that, it's not going to generate the everlasting persistence that you need, you know. And this is what, you know, you've got to decide what you're willing to give up for that. And you know, he says there's no such thing as something for nothing, which is absolutely true. And B, you know, you've got to pay the price. If you want that C-type goal, you've got to pay the price you need to pay to achieve it. It's not going to just come overnight. It's not just going to turn up on your doorstep. You've got to pay the price that you need to receive that. And most people give up, usually because they're not, they haven't got the right connection with the goal, and they maybe haven't got the right level of belief. You know, they haven't got the faith that if they carry on, they will eventually achieve that goal. But most people just give up too soon. They're lacking persistence. Wisdom and cleverness alone will not attract and retain money, except in a few very rare instances where the law of averages favours the attraction of money through such means. However, the method of attracting money described here does not depend on the law of averages. Moreover, the method plays no favourites. It will work for one person as effectively as it will for another. Where failure is experienced, it's the individual, not the method, which has failed. If you try and fail, make another effort and still another until you succeed. Okay, the law of attraction works for everybody if it's done correctly. Your ability to use the law of auto-suggestion will depend very largely upon your capacity to concentrate upon a given desire until that desire becomes a burning obsession. When you begin to carry out the instructions in connection with the 6 action steps described in Chapter 1, it will be necessary for you to make use of the principle of concentration. Excuse my dog barking in the background. You'll probably hear my husband shouting at the dog barking in the background in a minute. Let us here offer suggestions for the effective use of concentration. When you begin to carry out the first of the 6 actions, which instructs you to fix in your own mind the exact amount of money you desire, hold your thoughts on that amount of money by concentration or fixation of attention with your eyes closed until you can actually see the physical appearance of the money. Do this at least once each day. As you go through these exercises, follow the instructions given in Chapter 2 on faith and see yourself actually in possession of the money. This point about concentration is really important. And we talk about, in Thinking Into Results, we learn how to hone your mental faculties, your higher mental faculties. One of those being will. You know, you have to learn how to use your will, and that is, you know, in other words, it's concentration, it's focus. So you've got to be able to focus on a particular idea to the exclusion of everything else, and that's what we're talking about here. I think that's my mother dropping something off, so the dog's going mad at Grandma. Here is a most significant fact. The subconscious mind takes any orders given it in a spirit of absolute faith and acts upon those orders. In other words, the subconscious mind just thinks that everything's true. It can't tell the difference between what's true, what's real, and what's imagined. So the subconscious mind takes any orders given it in a spirit of absolute faith and acts upon those orders, although the orders often have to be presented over and over again through repetition before they are interpreted by the subconscious mind. So you've got to be giving these ideas over and over and over again to your subconscious mind before it will accept them. Consider the possibility of playing a perfectly legitimate trick on your subconscious mind by making it believe, because you believe it, that you must have the amount of money you are visualizing, that this money is already awaiting your claim, that the subconscious mind must hand over to you practical plans for acquiring the money that is yours. Okay, because your subconscious mind, once you get these ideas into your subconscious mind, once you get this goal into your subconscious mind with a date, your subconscious mind just thinks it's happening and starts to make the plans for it happening. So I often give the example, if I was going on holiday, if I was flying somewhere next Wednesday, not that anybody's flying anywhere at the moment, but if I was flying somewhere next Wednesday and I'd booked flights and I'd booked a hotel and all the rest of it, that's my subconscious mind takes that, it's a fact, it takes that and it starts making starts coming up with ideas and thoughts that I need to plan for my trip. So it will tell me what I need, start thinking of things I need to pack, things I need to arrange, visas, passports, whatever else, because it's planning, it's making plans for what it knows is going to happen in a week's time. The thing is, it doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's imagined. So if your subconscious mind thinks that in a year's time you're going to have $500,000 of money in the bank by starting a new business, it just thinks it's true. Once it's planted properly in your subconscious mind, it just thinks it's a fact and it starts making plans and coming up with the ideas and coming up with the thoughts that you need to achieve that. Hand over the thoughts suggested in the preceding paragraph to your imagination and see what your imagination can or will do to create practical plans for the accumulation of money through transmutation of your desire. Do not wait for a definite plan through which you intend to exchange services or merchandise in return for the money you are visualizing, but begin at once to see yourself in possession of the money, demanding and expecting meanwhile that your subconscious mind will hand over the plan or plans you need. Okay, this is why we keep saying don't worry about the how. You won't know the how. When you first set that goal, you won't know how you're going to do it. The how comes later. Okay? Do not wait for a definite plan. Be on the alert for the plans that your subconscious mind is going to give you. When they appear, put them into action immediately. When the plans appear, they will probably flash into your mind through the sixth sense in the form of an inspiration. This inspiration may be considered a direct telegram or message from infinite intelligence. Treat it with respect and act upon it as soon as you receive it. Failure to do this will be fatal to your success. This is another big problem, another big mistake that we see is people have these ideas. There's reasons why you have ideas. Okay, if you've got really obsessed with this goal and you've got it burned in your subconscious mind and you're thinking about it all the time, you start having ideas on how you're going to achieve it. You must act on them. You must act on them. Not all of them are going to work, but you've been given those ideas for a reason. In the fourth of the 6 action steps, you were instructed to create a definite plan for carrying out your desire and begin at once to put this plan into action. You should follow this instruction in the manner described in the preceding paragraph. Do not trust to your reason when creating your plan for accumulating money through the transmutation of desire. Your reason is faulty. Moreover, your reasoning factor may be lazy, and if you depend entirely upon it to serve you, it may disappoint you. Don't forget, your reasoning factor is controlled by your paradigm. So what you think is reasonable or realistic or logical is all controlled by your paradigm. It's all controlled by old programming, old beliefs that you've been brought up with, the self-image that you've got of yourself. That all controls your reason. So what one person thinks is reasonable, another person doesn't think is reasonable. That's because it's how we're programmed. That's what controls our reason. So you mustn't rely on it when you're creating your plans. Don't look at something and decide and think that's not realistic, and that's not reasonable, that's not logical, because it's your paradigm that's telling you that. When visualizing with closed eyes the money you intend to accumulate, see yourself rendering the service or delivering the merchandise you intend to give in return for this money. This is important. You must have an idea of what you're going to give in return for this money. So it's no good just visualizing receiving a certain amount of money, because you have to give something in return for that. Now, you might not have a definite plan, so you might not know exactly maybe what kind of business you're going to run, or what kind of job you're going to have, but you've got to be able to visualize yourself. And I would really encourage you, when you're using that guided visualization that I gave you on Monday, you need to be able to see, have at least an outline of you giving something in return for the money. Okay, whether it's a vague idea of you speaking somewhere, or standing in front of people, or sitting at a computer, or you've got to have a vague idea of how the kind of service you want to be providing for people. It's important. Summary of instructions. The fact that you're reading this book is an indication that you are earnestly seeking knowledge. It's also an indication that you are a student of this subject. If you are only a student, there is a chance you may learn much you did not know, but you will learn only by assuming an attitude of humility. If you choose to follow some of the instructions but neglect or refuse to follow others, you will fail. To get satisfactory results, you must follow all instructions in a spirit of faith, and this is why Bob used this book to create Thinking into Results, because you've got to be following all of the steps. You know, you can't just pull out desire, you can't just concentrate on persistence, you've got to follow all of the steps in a spirit of faith. You know, this is why it's good to have some kind of structure to it. The instructions given in connection with the 6 action steps in chapter 1 will now be summarised and blended with the principles covered by this chapter. If your definite chief aim involves money and the attainment of wealth, this is where we're going to go back to what you did in the bonus task today. First, go into some quiet spot, preferably in bed at night, where you will not be disturbed or interrupted. Close your eyes and repeat aloud, so you may hear your own words, the written statement of the amount of money you intend to accumulate, the time limit for its accumulation, and the description of the service or merchandise you intend to give in return for the money. As you carry out these instructions, see yourself already in possession of the money. For example, suppose that you intend to accumulate $500,000 by the 1st of January 5 years hence, that you intend to give personal services in return for the money in the capacity of sales representative. Your written statement of your purpose should be similar to the following. By the 1st day of January, state the year, I will have in my possession $500,000, which will come to me in various amounts from time to time during the interim. In return for this money, I will give the most efficient service of which I am capable, rendering the fullest possible quantity and the best possible quality of service in the capacity of selling. Describe the service or merchandise you intend to sell. I believe that I will have this money in my possession. My faith is so strong that I can now see this money before my eyes. I can touch it with my hands. It's now awaiting transfer to me at the time and in the proportion that I deliver the service I intend to render in return for it. I'm awaiting a plan by which to accumulate this money, and I will follow that plan when it is received. Second step, repeat this program night and morning until you can clearly visualize in your imagination the money you intend to accumulate. Third step, place a written copy of your statement where you can see it night and morning and read it just before retiring and upon arising until it's been memorized. And what I actually teach my clients to do is record themselves saying this statement. So we record ourselves saying this statement out loud when we've put it together, and then we put it on loop and listen to it. You know, I listen to it on a morning for 5 minutes after I've read this chapter, auto-suggestion chapter. So, but being able to hear your own voice saying it is important, because your subconscious mind trusts your own voice. Remember, as you carry out these instructions, that you are applying the law of auto-suggestion for the purpose of giving orders to your subconscious mind. Remember that these instructions apply particularly to the desire for money, but also to any other object you desire or goal you seek. Remember also that your subconscious mind will only act upon instructions which are emotionalized and handed over to it with feeling. Faith is the strongest and most productive of the emotions. Follow the instructions given in chapter 2. These instructions may at first seem abstract. Do not let this disturb you. Follow the instructions no matter how abstract or how impractical they may at first appear to be. The time will soon come, if you do as you've been instructed, in spirit as well as in fact, when a whole new universe of power will unfold to you. If this is the first time you've heard anything like this, or you've done anything like this, you've got to just be open-minded, okay? If you're thinking, what? How is this going to work? You've got to try it. You have to try it, but try it, immerse yourself in it. Don't just read it for the sake of reading it and expect something's going to happen. If you immerse yourself in it fully, in this, in spirit as well as in fact, which is what he says, all sorts of things will come up for you. Skepticism in connection with all new ideas is characteristic of all human beings, but if you follow the instructions outlined, your skepticism will soon be replaced by belief, and this in turn will soon become crystallized into absolute faith. Then you will have arrived at the point where you may truly say, I am the master of my fate, I am the captain of my soul. Many philosophers have made the statement that each person is the master of his or her own earthly destiny, but most of them have failed to say why this is so. The reason that we may be the master of our own earthly status, and especially our financial status, is thoroughly explained in this chapter. We may become the master of ourselves and of our environment because we have the power to influence our own subconscious mind, and through it to gain the cooperation of infinite intelligence. The chapter you are now reading represents the keystone in the arch of the Think and Grow Rich philosophy. The instructions contained in this chapter must be understood and applied with persistence if you are to succeed in transmuting desire into money or any other result you seek. The actual performance of transmuting desire into money involves the use of autosuggestion as an agency by which you may reach and influence the subconscious mind. The other principles are simply tools with which to apply autosuggestion. Keep this thought in mind, and you will at all times be conscious of the important part that the law of autosuggestion is to play in your efforts to accumulate money through the methods described in this book. Carry out these instructions as though you were a small child. Inject into your efforts something of the faith of a child. I've been most careful to see that no impractical instructions are included because of my sincere desire to be helpful. After you've read the entire book, come back to this chapter and follow in spirit and in action this instruction. Read this entire chapter aloud once every night until you become thoroughly convinced that the principle of autosuggestion is sound, that it will accomplish for you all that has been claimed for it. As you read, underscore with a pencil every sentence which impresses you favourably. Follow the foregoing instructions to the letter, and it will open the way for a complete understanding and mastery of all the principles of success, including the one to which we now turn, specialised knowledge, the fourth step to riches. So, if you're not joining us in Thinking into Results and you just want a book, Think and Grow Rich is the one that Bob would tell you to get. The autosuggestion chapter, if you read the autosuggestion chapter and listen to your chief statement of purpose every day, you will definitely see benefits. You'll start to see changes around you. The other chapter that's really powerful is the persistence chapter. And again, it's about repetition, it's about sticking with it. Most people won't stick to it. Most people will say, yeah, I'll read it for 30 days and then manage about 3. So, and goes back to how much you actually want that goal. How badly do you want that goal and what you're prepared to do for it. So I'm hoping, hi Dana, hi David, hi Iona. missed all these people joining. So I read that because I think it explains better than I can the law of autosuggestion and what most people are missing when it comes to the law of attraction. So remember I said the law of vibration is the primary law, the law of attraction is the secondary law. The law of vibration states that you need to get yourself onto the same frequency, which is what we were speaking about yesterday or the day before. I can't remember now, the days are blurring into one. But you need to raise your frequency, you need to raise your vibrational level so that it's at the same level that your goal is on. Okay, and the way to do that is through auto-suggestion. Okay, by getting that goal into your subconscious mind, you are lifting your level of vibration, you're lifting your frequency up to the frequency it needs to be on to attract the things you need to attract for that goal, because that's where the goal is, that's the frequency that it's on. So that's what this is all culminating in. Okay, auto-suggestion is the way to do that. And as it says in that chapter, auto-suggestion is the cornerstone, the keystone to the whole thing. So mastering auto-suggestion and understanding that relationship between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind is fundamental. You have to understand it and you have to apply it to what you're learning. Hi Lynn. So that went on a bit longer than I thought it was going to. Do we have any questions from anybody? Any wins? Any shares? Anything anybody wants to contribute? Got my energy downer, got my NRG oil keeping me going. It's been a long day today, I have to say. I'm waiting for the video to catch up with me because I can see there's a delay. Any questions? No, can't see anything coming through, so I'm assuming we're all good. Steve, really interested about auto-suggestion, so you need to be truly emotional about your goal. Yeah, it's got to be something that when you think about it, lights a fire inside you. Now, sometimes we start off with a goal. Sometimes people don't know what their goal is. Sometimes people have no idea what they want and really struggle to get emotionally attached to it. So sometimes to start with, you've got to just pick something. You know, look at what other people have got if you want, and say, you know, how would I like my life to look? We can turn it into a burning obsession. That's what we call it, a burning desire, and that comes through repetition. So we use visualizing to do that, because some people have had a goal for a long time and they're just desperate. They just haven't been able to achieve it, and they're just desperate to do it, and they know what it is, they know exactly what it is, they just don't know how to get it. And that's fine, we can work with that. Some people just have no idea what they want, so we start them off with, sometimes you can start off with, what don't you want? You know, what's in your life at the moment that you don't want? But the big goal, you know, we can create desire once you've decided what it is, but you've got to start with something, and it's got to be a big something. You know, it's no good just having I earned 30 grand last year, I'd like to earn 40 next year. That's not a C-type goal. And you know, we can help we help people do that. The visualizations, I think, are really useful, but most people hold themselves back. You know, most people are conditioned to kind of play down what they really want, so a lot of it's about being honest with yourself. But yeah, and it comes from, you know, we teach people to visualize how their life's going to look when they've got it. Like visualize it as if you've already got it, and how does that feel? You know, you've got to kind of like visualize how it's going to feel once you've achieved it. If you're not emotional enough about your goal, it's not the right goal. It's usually not big enough, Steve. That's what we find. If you don't have that emotional attachment, if you don't have that emotion, now, you know, it depends what you describe emotion as, but if you don't have it, if it doesn't make you feel a certain way, it's not going to change your actions. Remember, we've been doing this all week. What you think about makes you feel a certain way, and it's the feeling that creates the action, and the action that then determines the results. So whatever you're feeling about that goal, and if you're thinking about a goal, you are feeling a certain way. You have that's just how it is. You know, you're either feeling, you know, if you think about having achieved that goal, it either makes you feel proud or it makes you feel, if it's not making you feel anything, then yeah, I would say that's not the right goal. And sometimes it can take people months to get really clear on what their goal is, and we're refining it all the time. Because you've got to be really detailed. You've got to have a really clear vision of what it is that you want, and you've got to feel, you know, when you think about having achieved it, you've got to feel, you know, excitement, satisfaction, achievement. You know, if you don't have that you've got no skin in the game. Why would you give up your time and energy and resources to achieve something that you're not that bothered about? And that's where most people go wrong, because they pick a goal that, you know, well, it'd be nice to have. If it doesn't happen, I'll be happy with what I've got. That's kind of what happens, and that's what people end up getting. You know, they end up getting stuck with what they've got. Right, okay, coming up to the hour mark now, so last chance for questions. Don't forget, you can book a hot seat for tomorrow if you want. Oh, Brit's here. Hi Brit. I've got a huge emotional goal and it's completely out of my realm of knowledge and expertise. I'm doing the visualizations, engaging emotionally, and my current business is suffering. I can't identify the disconnect. I'm doing the visualizations, engaging emotionally, and my current business is suffering. What, your current business is suffering because of, is your goal to do with your current business or a different business? The goals I do feel emotionally about, but now I feel like I haven't got enough feeling. Yeah, you've got to concentrate on feeling it, and that's the thing about law of attraction. You know, because you can't raise your level of vibration. Remember, the primary law is law of vibration. If you're going to get the law of attraction to work, you've got to be able to raise your level of vibration to where it needs to be, and you do that by getting positively, emotionally involved with that goal. Brit, I'm not entirely sure. I can't tell you the disconnect from that paragraph. The point is, I suppose, this goal, the point in having an emotionalised goal is the very first step. And I mean, you know, we work with people for a long time. Well, relative 6 months. I suppose not that long. I suppose it could take you decades to do this on your own. But we go through 12 steps, and that first step is the goal. So yes, it's really, really important that you have the right goal, that you have a big goal, that you have a goal that you're emotionally attached to. But we do find, you know, we work with people we're refining it all the time. And what happens is, once you start to get nearer that C-type goal, once you actually start to see that it's doable, and you actually start to believe it's possible, it kind of stops becoming a C-type goal. Because remember, a C-type goal is something that starts off as a fantasy. You've just got no idea how you're going to do it. So as we start to move nearer it, and you realise, if I just do this, and I do this, and I do this, I could actually have that. Then we create a new C-type goal, and we're pushing out all the time, pushing out further, and that's how people have massive leaps in success over a few years when they've been trying for decades before. So, you know, it's not something, you're probably not going to crack it in 5 days, but hopefully I've given you the tools here to, if you're just going to use these tools to, you know, if you keep using them, you know, in the coming weeks and months, then hopefully that will give you some grounding to get clear on that goal. It should be automatic, I would have thought, rather than it being false. I'm disappointed I haven't achieved it yet, so if I'm feeling that, doesn't it show that I want it? Yeah, Steve, and I would question, when you say you're not really emotionally involved with the goal, I would question that, but it's a bit hard to do it over here. We can talk about it on Monday. Monday? Is it Monday? We can talk about it when we chat. Hi Connor, you've joined the party late, my friend. We're about to go. Right, Brit. No, completely different. I have very little. 4 coming in. Doing massage now. No one's calling, so just concentrate on my new goal. Well, don't forget, Brit, the C-type goal needs to be what you want your life to look like. Now, when we're talking about businesses, Bob would say you concentrate on the business that you've got. Okay, if you're wanting to achieve a C-type goal that's a particular lifestyle, you start with the business that you've got. Now, if you're focusing on if you're dreaming and you're spending all your time thinking about a different business and getting another business up and running, obviously you're going to eventually attract the things you need for the new business, but you're not going to get what you want in the business that you've got. If you're focusing on, I don't want that business, I want a new one, then, you know, if you do it right, you're going to attract the things you need for the new business, and the old business is going to fall by the wayside. That's what happened with me with my accounts business, and that was because I wanted, at the back of my mind, I wanted to get rid of the accounts business. So, you know, is it the case that subconsciously you're wanting to get rid of the massage business? Because if that's the case, that's what you're going to get. You know, whether you instigate it or not, it will go. Right, okay, need to call time on it there. So, back tomorrow, last day tomorrow, terror barrier day tomorrow, so I'm going to teach you a little bit about trampling the terror barrier, because what happens is, once people start to get clear on what it is that they really want, and they start to think about what they're actually going to have to do if they really want to achieve that, sometimes they hit the terror barrier and all these fears and doubts and worries start coming up. So we're going to talk about that tomorrow. Those of you who haven't seen, I've added a huge bonus to the TIR mentorship. I've added in my Ignite to Six Figures and Beyond business coaching program. So that is the program that I deliver. It's normally over 6 months. It's normally £5,000. I've thrown it into the mix for the TIR mentorship. So I've added it. So the bonuses, well, the whole package, including the bonuses, is now worth over 20 grand. So have a look at it if you haven't already. I'd love to have you in there. We officially start on the 4th of May, but you get access to the Thinking Into Results content before then. You know, you get it within a couple of days, so you can start on it if you want to. The early bird offer is only open until midnight on Sunday, so please have a look at it, because it is absolutely, you won't find anything like it anywhere else. I haven't seen any other consultants offering anything like it. It's very special, so have a look at it. If you've enjoyed what we've done this week, if you think it can help you move forward, it can. Have a look at the offer. Dan, I'm stuck between making my business a lot better or moving somewhere different. You've got to get clear on your goal, Dan. You've got to have a look, got to have a think about what that end vision is. What do you want your life to look like? What do you want to be doing? What do you really, really want to be doing when you're sat in 2 years' time? Say, what do you want to be doing for people? What do you want to be doing every day? Where do you want to be living? Who do you want to be living with? How do you want to be spending your weekends? You've got to get that kind of clarity. You know, go 2 years out, go 5 years out. Think about what you want to be doing. Do you want to be doing what you're currently doing? Okay. Again, we do it all in Thinking Into Results. Spend 6 months working on that C-type. In fact, the offer this week is for 12 months working on that C-type goal with you. Right, okay, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you all very, very much for joining me. I'm having a ball. We're back tomorrow for the closing party, same time, but as usual, you'll get the first task in the morning, the bonus task halfway through the day, and then I'll be back for the live tomorrow evening my time. Alright, thank you very much again. Don't forget, you put hashtag question in the Facebook group if you've got any questions. I'm keeping my eye on it. I'm not replying to everything because I just can't for my own sanity, but I am seeing everything. Alright, thank you very much. I'll speak to you all tomorrow. Bye for now.